My name is Janet Njoki. I'm 27. I just turned 27 6 days ago. Born and raised in Thika, Biafra, specifically this house. Well, it never used to be this way. I'm the only child. My mom passed when I was 3. I'm a peer educator, I'm an activist, I'm an HIV and mental illness activist. Actually, I was born positive. I also discovered that I have depression early last year. So that's what moved me to what I do. I am an advocate on my social media platforms, and I do get invitations to schools and social gatherings to raise awareness, especially on HIV and mental illness. I own a shop. I sell ladies outfits. I select outfits for ladies, especially when they are going for events. Well, during this pandemic, people aren't going for events, so I just sell them for people who want them. For now, you're not going anywhere. And by professionalism, what I studied was journalism, which wasn't my choice. But yeah, that's basically what I do. I have a shop. I could say I'm a stylist because I select outfits for ladies especially, not men. First of all, when my mom passed, according to their culture, I put quote culture because I usually believe it's not a culture thing, it's something they knew. That's why they brought the culture up. They brought me to my grandmother here, my dad's mom, and according to them, mtoto ni wa baba. A child belongs to the father, so they brought me here. I used to have a close relationship with my dad, but along the way when I found out, I felt he was the one to blame, so we drifted. Growing up was never easy, actually. I have experienced stigma at first hand, which is something I don't blame people for, especially during those days, because the way HIV was introduced, it was introduced in a very, very ugly manner. And by then, it wasn't as it is right now. You know, right now we are controlling it. You can do everything. Yani, you can live like a normal person, unlike those days. By the time I'm finding out, I went to Bahati Nursery School right outside this compound, and it wasn't easy because by then I wasn't on drugs. And I remember my grandmother, when we started having this discussion, she told me the first time I was taken to the hospital, she was told, this child is sick. By then, this wasn't something that was being mentioned. So they never told her exactly where I'm sick. They told her she needs proper feeding, and every time she gets even a cold, you're supposed to rush her to the hospital. And I remember I used to go to school with small kofia hats, because I used to have a lot of complications. I used to have wounds. I used to have there was a lot going on, especially in my head. And I used to wear these kofias or head wraps while I was going to school. Actually, that's how most of my classmates used to know me, that girl who wears head wraps. And growing up, I remember I used to have my own cap, and I used to have my own basin. I didn't know why. I used to think I had a problem. Yes, of course. I used to think I was cursed, by the way. And I remember one day my cousin told me, my mom told me to never eat anything coming from you. And then I used to question, what problem do I have? What is wrong with me? But since I was a child, I used to think this is how orphans are supposed to be treated. So, hawafanyi kitu mbaya. This is how it's supposed to be. It's a norm. Until I came around, I was around 14, 13. When I was doing my KCPE, I got really sick. Like, I was so sick. And people thought I was having exam fright. My grandmother knew what was going on. And until she took me, and I had to complete now my exam so that she can take me to the next step, you know. And then I got tested. Actually, I remember that nurse told me, "You have to test you. Have you ever thought of being tested?" And I was like, "No." Why? You know, every time one hears HIV, they're like, "This person has been sexually immoral." So I was like, but I haven't misbehaved, so why am I getting tested? But anyway, I had to, because in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm clean. And then I got tested, and it came out, and of course, you are in shock. How? And second time, third time, until the fifth time, and she was like, have you ever questioned how your mom died? That's when everything started falling into place. And of course, my grandmother was called in, and we spoke, and they did counseling on me. And I called my dad. I told him we need to talk. I didn't even mention what was wrong. I just gave him the results. And he told me, don't tell anyone. And since then, I never saw my dad again. I used to hear he was around. He was around, but we didn't see each other. The only time we saw each other was by mistake, accidentally. He came, I was outside playing, and boom. And that's when we started drifting. A part of me thinks he also feels guilty for that. So, yeah, that's been a journey. HIV is like, let's say, it's like this stage where you can manage. Let me just put it in simpler terms. AIDS is the final stage. Like, AIDS is the stage where you know this person is not going to live for long. They are going. But with HIV, it's manageable, of which it's also in different levels, because we have like 3 lines. You know, back then they used to say there is incubation, window, and such. But nowadays we have 3 lines. We have line 1, line 2, and line 3. I'm personally on line 1. When you're introduced to drugs and they fail, or probably they fail because of your immune system, or because you are taking alcohol and drugs, or because you are misbehaving sexually, you know, you can get transmitted, you can have other sexually transmitted disease. So drugs tend to fail. That's when they push you to line 2. And there are also different drugs. Like, I personally take one drug at night, and there's this other one you're supposed to take in the morning. It's for everyone, apart from those who have an allergy for sulfur. It's supposed to prevent these diseases, opportunistic infections. So you are taken to line 2, where you can take even up to 4 drugs. And then if that fails, you are taken to line 3. Most of the times, the people who are in line 3, I hear they are the ones who are in AIDS. Most of them. As in, that's when you are basically, you're 50-50. So I could say that I've met a lot of people, actually, especially when I came out public last year. I've met a lot of people. I used to meet them before, but before then I could say I didn't have a problem with me being positive, but I hadn't accepted it because it's something I didn't want on myself. So I wasn't even bothered with people who are positive. I used to meet them. I used to go for meetings. I used to go for support groups, and I was basically being pushed to go for them by my shushu. And I used to meet a lot of people there. And right now, since I came public, I can relate with a lot of people who are positive. You know, someone comes and tell you, I've been going through this, I tested last week, and yeah, you meet a lot of people with different stories, and I realized coming public was the best thing I could ever do for anyone, not even for myself, for anyone who is positive.